Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live team. It is the live game review, as you can tell by the massive smile on my face, of Everton 3, Chelsea 1 at Goodison Park. Such an important win, such an important performance, and Duncan Ferguson's Everton get the victory at Goodison Park. And like I said, as you can see by the smile on my face, just exactly how happy I am to be able to talk about this game of football once again. I've spent the last 2 days scrolling through Twitter, constantly smiling at the videos of Duncan Ferguson hugging ball boys, at the videos of Calvert-Lewin and Tom Davies running over to Duncan Ferguson. It just feels like that feel-good factor is back at Everton Football Club. And once you thought, no, I'm not getting involved with the emotion anymore, they've hurt me enough, I'm not getting involved towards the end of Silva's reign when the derby happened and the Leicester game and the Norwich game, and we were all sitting there and we were all thinking the same. No, I'm not letting it affect me anymore. Everton pull you back in, don't they? Let's stick Duncan Ferguson involved. Let's see his passion on the sideline. Let's see the team fighting for him. Let's see the team fighting for each other. And then you just get reeled back in, didn't you? And I'm not going to lie, I did nearly shed a tear on Saturday night looking through some of the videos and pictures from the game. And you know what? I think it's really, really important that we went out there and that we got the 3 points first and foremost. Duncan Ferguson said it in his pre-game press conference, as good as it is to be the manager of Everton Football Club, and as much as it was his day in many ways, more importantly, it was about Everton. It was about Everton going out there and getting the win, because we were in a really, really dangerous position. Before this game, after the Leicester game, after the derby, we were in a really, really dangerous position. Obviously in the relegation zone, and we were going to have to really, really fight. We got the 3 points, and all of a sudden we've jumped up the table, and things are looking a little bit more positive now. So, like I said, first and foremost, it was really, really important that we got the 3 points, and it was really, really important that the players reacted. Now, I think we all sort of knew that there would be a reaction by the players, given the fact that usually there's a reaction by every single team when a manager loses the job and somebody else comes in, especially when it's an interim and especially when it's a club legend who's coming in to take over. There is usually a reaction that happens throughout football, but I think there was a lot of us that were more sort of I don't want to say amazed, but more impressed with the battling that the side put in on Saturday. Some of the players that we haven't seen really wanting to get involved for a number of weeks now, the likes of Gylfi Sigurdsson, the likes of Morgan Schneiderlin, we're putting a real big shift in, and we're chasing down every ball, and we're covering every blade of grass. And I think it's no coincidence that having a manager like Duncan Ferguson on the sideline, somebody that the players are going to have a healthy fear of disappointing in, it's no surprise that made the players play a lot better. And for me, I couldn't fault any performance on Saturday afternoon. I really, really couldn't fault any performance from an Everton player, because although I think, there was patches of the game where we were just missing a little bit of quality, certain, times that we had the ball and we lost it a little bit too easily, or we let them get through the midfield a little bit too easily. Yes, I'm not saying it was absolutely perfect and, we were unbelievable and every single player was a 10 out of 10, but what I'm saying was you cannot fault players that give 110% week in, week out, and what those lads did on Saturday was give 110% for the fans, for the badge, and for the manager, and that's something that we haven't seen in a long time at Everton Football Club. It's something that type of camaraderie, that type of passion and relationship between players and a manager, I personally don't think we've seen that at Everton Football Club since the start of Roberto Martinez's reign. Every single goal that was scored by an Everton player on Saturday ended up in, an Everton player or multiple Everton players going straight over to Duncan Ferguson. Sidibe puts the cross in for an absolutely fantastic Richarlison header, and the first thing Sidibe does is turn round and run straight at Duncan Ferguson. Obviously, we know Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Tom Davies running straight over to him at the end of the game when, Dom scored the third goal after he'd hugged about 16 ball boys. And for me, I think that's really, really nice to see. And like I said, it's exactly what we know as Everton Football Club. That is our Everton. That's the Everton that we want to see week in, week out. That type of battle and that type of fighting, knowing that even though you mightn't have the the most quality on the pitch, even though you mightn't be the better side in terms of on paper, you're still going to absolutely fight for every single ball. And if that opposition side is enough for fighting, then you're going to win the game. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday. I wouldn't necessarily say that the quality of our players is is better than Chelsea's, but what I'd say is we were willing to fight for every single tackle, we were willing to fight for every single ball, and that was why we won that game, because they didn't want to fight. It's no surprise that we made 37 tackles in that game, which is more than any Premier League team this season, and more than Everton have made in a single match in over a decade. It's no surprise that you've got somebody like Duncan Ferguson on the sideline with all his passion. He is Everton through and through. He's an Everton fan. He's got the crest tattooed on his arm. He wears the badge with pride. He had Howard Kendall's watch on one wrist. He had an Everton wristband on another. It's no surprise that those players are going out and they're giving it 110% for that manager, because they know how much it means to them, and they know if they don't give it 110% for him, you don't want the conversation with him in the dressing room afterwards, because I wouldn't want to step into a dressing room after I'd performed poorly and stand in front of Duncan Ferguson and have to explain why I performed poorly. So, listen, it was an absolutely fantastic game, wasn't it? It was really, really good to see. And like I said, I think the most important thing was that we went out, we got the 3 points, we won the game of football, and now we look forward. Obviously, it gives the managerial situation a little bit more time. The board have come out and said, you know, the results and the performance on Saturday afternoon has given them a little bit more confidence in the fact that they've got a little bit more time to choose their manager. We've had a couple of new candidates pop up today. Unai Emery is one that we'll talk about later on in the stream. I can see a few comments already about him. He has popped up as a potential target for Everton. Everton have approached Unai Emery. The rumour is that he wants to improve his English before getting back into the Premier League, and we're not really willing to wait for him, basically. Carlo Ancelotti, there's rumours that he is ready to give up his job in Italy. You know, obviously, off the back of the rumours that he could be on the list as well. So there's a load of managers, as per usual, that are on the list, but I think it's fair that we only talk about Duncan Ferguson today, and I think it's fair that we sit down and we really give him praise where praise is due. And we give the players praise where it's due as well, because we've sat here over the last 2 or 3 weeks and we've absolutely ripped them to bits when they put in shit house, poor performances, whereas they actually dug deep and deserve what they got on Saturday, and I think it's only fair that we praise them for that. Alex says, yes, Cam, yes, Alex, hope you're doing well. CJ says, Emery can F off. I'm not listening to him saying good evening Everton every week. He is not a Premier League manager. Fair enough. I'll talk about Emery, like I said, later on in the stream. Wayne says, yes, Cam, up the fucking toffees. Yes, mate, certainly. Kadir says, hi mate, hi Kadir, hope you're doing well. Everton FC is the best, says, and it's Everton. Everton FC, what an atmosphere that was. I shed a tear at the match. I very nearly did myself, mate. Mike says, Emery, we'll talk about him in a sec. Mr. Titleist says, let Duncan have it for the rest of the season. I don't know whether I go as far as that yet, but I do want to make a point as to you know, why I think it's really, really important that when the new manager comes in, they adopt some of the things that Duncan Ferguson showed on Saturday afternoon. Kadir says, Silver, Portugal League 2. Wade says, how good did we look playing in a proper formation? Players seem to hold their position. Most tackles in the game for over 10 years. I like the Prem this season. Big Duncan's a legend. He is. Mike says, Emery got a cup final, mate. Better solution than Moyes and better than Howe. I would agree with that, to be honest. David says, looking like Kovic will be next. Kovic was at Goodison Park on Saturday. Whether he's just decided to turn up and have a little watch of the team to see if, you know, he's a little bit more interested than he once thought he was. I don't know. Obviously, there's been no strong rumours about him other than him being spotted at Goodison Park. Sonny says, hi Cam, what are your thoughts on us approaching Emery? I think we'll approach numerous managers. I think we'll approach managers from the likes of Unai Emery all the way to the likes of Carlo Ancelotti, Mauricio Pochettino. Wouldn't be surprised if we approach somebody like Diego Simeone, even though it's massively unrealistic, and I really won't be surprised if we approach some of the lower managers. You're looking at your Eddie Howe, your David Moyes, so anybody that fits in between that, I'm really, really not surprised that we've approached. Marcel Brands is, you know, it's already been sort of leaked or rumoured that over 100 managers have put the name in the hat for this job, so the fact that we're getting names every single day really doesn't surprise me. Mike says, Silver. Kadir says, Razva, I don't even know how to pronounce that, so I'm not going to say it. Wayne says, even Holgate had a great game. DCL's the start up with Richarlison every week. Let's not keep changing it. Spot on, I agree. Angela says, please not Emery, failed at Arsenal and just as passionate as Marco. Fair point. Jamie says, Cam, are we eyeing Emery up? With him and now Freddie have done nothing to improve Arsenal. We need a big presence like Big Dunk this season. Got our pride back. Fair point. Like I said, I'll talk about Emery in a second. I can see the live comments are going mad for Unai Emery. If you're watching, please do hit that like button, by the way, and get the stream shared all over your social media as well. Let's get as many people in here as possible. DBLXP says, we played the long ball for more often versus Chelsea. We should continue to be direct. Goals win games, not pretty passes. Spot on, mate. Lavit says, Big Duncan for me, the Flying Scotsman. David says, the crowd pushed that game. If it would have been away, it wouldn't have gone our way. Perfect day, but we weren't good and Chelsea wasted a lot of chances, plus we had Agent Zuma. It's a really, really fair point, and I think being at home did massively help us. Again, it's a difficult one to say. Obviously, we'll be able to judge it. You know, the Man United game on Sunday, I dare say Duncan Ferguson will be in charge for that, purely on the fact that I don't think we'll have gone out and found a manager before then. So we'll be able to judge it from that. Mike says, Emery has passion. Did you not watch them last season? He jumps all over the place. Kayla says, hi Cam, who do you want as manager? Personally, I want Rafa. I'd love Ancelotti, to be perfectly honest with you, as long as we can get out of this rut that we're in currently and sort of a little bit further away from the relegation zone. I'd really love Rafa Benitez as well, to be honest. I think he could do a fantastic job at Everton. Luke says, how many games would you beat Duncan if we finish in December in the top 8 or somewhere near? Would he be appointed, in your opinion? Listen, I want to talk about Duncan Ferguson, and I may as well talk about it now because it's being brought up, and we'll talk about it briefly before we go into the game. I'm not in any way, shape or form saying that Duncan Ferguson should now be giving it to the end of the season, or Duncan Ferguson should be giving it on a more permanent basis. Listen, we've played one game and he understands that himself. He said himself that he wants Everton to have the best managers in the world. He wants us to be going after the very best, and he literally just saw it as one game. It was a fantastic experience, it was a brilliant opportunity, and he'll be there for as long as the club want him there. Now, I would suspect he will be there for a little bit longer, at least the Manchester United game on Sunday, and maybe even the Leicester game the following Wednesday, because I would suspect that the board are taking a little bit more time now, a little bit more careful in who they appoint as their next permanent manager, because they'll now know the players can go out and put in performances like they did on Saturday, so there's no real rush. Although there is a rush, there's not as much of a rush as maybe they'd have thought if they'd have gone out on Saturday and got absolutely bladdered. What I would say with Duncan Ferguson is that it's absolutely vital that whoever comes in instills that passion, instills that fight, and instills that urgency into the team. And it's absolutely vital that whoever comes in starts with the basics, because that's what Duncan Ferguson done on Saturday afternoon. Duncan Ferguson is a manager with no experience whatsoever. He's never managed in the Premier League. He's never managed the club before. He's only ever been a coach at Everton Football Club. So he took over that role as manager of Everton Football Club. He got there on Saturday morning, or he thought about the team on Friday night, and he done what we needed to do. We put a basic 4-4-2 starting 11 out, and the tactics would have been very basic, I would assume, and that would have been you fight for every ball, you get stuck in, you get involved, you throw tackles in, you don't let any Chelsea player get anywhere near the goal without there being pressure on them, and you break forward positively, and you look for your man, and you play whichever ball is on, you play it, whether it's a long ball, whether it's a nice pass, it doesn't matter. You play the best ball that's on, and you fight for every ball. And that would have been his instruction to the players, because, and I'm not saying this in a disrespectful way, but Duncan Ferguson, like I said, is a manager that would have gone for the basics, because he hasn't got the experience of all of this tactical nous, because this is his first time coaching, and that's exactly what Everton needed, and that's exactly what Everton needed on Saturday, was somebody to come in and say, right, 4-4-2, and we go with the basics. You battle for every ball, and when you get the ball, we break forward, and you could see that in the performance. And that's what I'd say when the new manager comes in, is they have to take that from Duncan Ferguson, and they have to take that that knowledge of, right, okay, I can bring all of this, tactical prowess in. I can bring this tiki-taka football or zonal marking or whatever. But the first thing I need to do with this team is just get them playing basic football. Get them passing to each other here and there. Get them playing the best ball that's on. Get them fighting for every ball. Let's have a basic 4-4-2 formation, because I was thinking about this today, and we don't really think about this as football fans, but it's very easy to bring in a top manager who's got all of these mad different philosophies and all of these different ways of thinking, and put them with a group of players and say, right, you instill them mad philosophies and ways of playing football into this group of players. Now, that's all right in thinking, but we automatically assume as football fans that a manager with all of those different philosophies and all those different ways of playing can literally instill that into any group of footballers, whether you be a poor player, whether you be an average player, whether you be a really good player. They can instill that into any group of footballers and turn those footballers into world beaters, and I don't think that's the case at all. And I'm not slating any of our players, and I'm not saying any of them are below what they should be, but what I'm saying is that if you've got a manager that's coming in and saying, right, we need to play this, we need to play this way, it needs to be ticky-tacky, you need to be doing this, some of our players may turn around and go, listen, I'm not really with that, I don't really understand that, that's not the way I'm used to playing football. So by a manager coming in and going, right, we're going to start with the basics, and then I'm going to slowly introduce the different ways of playing to you, the different styles of breaking forward, of defending, etc, then we do it gradually, rather than just going, here's a load of stuff that we're going to play like it to a group of players that might not be able to play like that, realistically. And that's what the new manager needs to take off Duncan Ferguson. Not only the fight, the passion, the camaraderie that we've shown on Saturday, but also that willingness to just take it back to basics and not be afraid to drop it back to basics and go, right, we're just going to basically battle for every ball today and break forward as a unit. And that's exactly what we've done, and that's why we won the game on Saturday afternoon. I've totally forgot where I was up to with the question, but anyway, Luke says, Oh no, it says about how many games. Like I said, onto the point. If we can get a result against Manchester United at Old Trafford, if we can beat Leicester in the cup, and if we can beat Arsenal the following week at Goodison Park, then I would be happy for Duncan Ferguson to remain in this role until we've absolutely sorted a real proven winner out to come in. And I'm talking an Ancelotti, I'm talking a Benitez, I'm talking a Pochettino, I'm talking a Simeone. Unless it's somebody of that calibre, and given Duncan Ferguson got results out of those next 3 games like I've just mentioned, then I'd be keeping it to him until we can get somebody like that calibre in, because I wouldn't be allowing Duncan Ferguson to go on now and get results in the next 3 games and then bringing in a Eddie Howe or bringing in a David Moyes, because I just don't really see the point in that. Ryan says, I would like to see Duncan in charge of the United game. Let's see what he can do when he has the team with a full week of training. I would assume he will be, purely because I don't think they'll rush the decision, and obviously we play United in less than a week's time. Alex says, as if Everton is trending. It is. Wayne says, hope we can beat Manchester United so Ferguson can keep his job. Yeah, I agree. Andy says, after Dom's performance on Saturday, where does Keane sit? He needs to work his absolute bollocks off to get in this team, because Dom was fantastic. Dan says 4-4-2, Big Dunker's God and the Mighty Blues rock. Get in there, Cam lad. Spot on, mate, spot on. Lavvid says Duncan Ferguson ticked all the boxes. Passion, scored early on in the first half, winning the game by 2 clear goals. Not bad for starters, to say the least. Spot on. David says on the bench, Andy, it would be now, to be honest with you. Eugene says, would you like Duncan Ferguson to become the new Everton manager now? Not permanently now. I think we need to make sure that we don't get ahead of ourselves. It has only been 1 game. Lavit says he expects everyone's attitude and desire as he does. Spot on. Kadir says Tosson's place FC. Again, he's going to have to work his bollocks off. Wayne says made up for the ball boys. What a day for them. Exactly. What an absolute day. I want to be a ball boy, to be honest with you. Next game at Goodison Park, I think I might apply to be a ball boy. David says can't have Dunk. He sat 2 miles on his arse on the bench. Love Big Dunk, but leave it as a fairy tale and then it'd be number 2 first. Fair point. Alex says, what are your thoughts on Hayward Jablomi, the man at the Manchester City game? If it's the racist, I don't know whether it is the racist. I don't know that name, but the racist's an absolute wanker, and anybody that throws racial abuse at anybody is just an absolute wanker. David says, Defo Wayne, Football Punch says, hi mate, do you want Big Dun permanently? Not yet. It's only been 1 game, and I think it's important that we don't get ahead of ourselves, in my opinion anyway. Lava says, I would give him the job officially, but if some strange reason the club are cautious, they should give him the job till the end of the season. May I say, this was a fair amount of class shown. Fair point. Wayne says, David Collins. Alex says, come on Alex, don't. I'm gonna put you in a timeout for that, because there's absolutely no need for that. Come on, lad. There's no need. There's no need to that. There's no need. Macam Hater says Klopp's been getting pelters from Toffees for 4 years for running up and down the touchline, giving it to players hugs. Big Dun comes in and he's doing it first chance he gets. It's passion, isn't it? And I don't really mind Klopp for running up and down the touchline and giving it the all. I just think it's a little bit of an actor thing, because Jurgen Klopp's got no real, I suppose, alliance to Liverpool Football Club, but I've got no real issue with it. If Jurgen Klopp wants to run up and down the touchline, then that's fair enough, and Liverpool are playing fantastically. I've got no issue with it, and seeing Duncan Ferguson do it, like I said, it nearly brought a tear to my eye, so I don't care as long as we're winning games of football. The box says, any thoughts on Everton? Send it on Twitter. Again, the power of social media. David says 6 more wins and we're safe. The boxes, you just mentioned it. Jem says, just join. Sorry if it's being said before, but keep Big Dunk on a few games. He deserves it at EFC. You know what? It's difficult to disagree. In general, says, good shout about Klopp there. We need that passion that Dunk shows. Like Klopp, obviously motivates the players. It does motivate the players, and I think Big Dunk's passion and Big Dunk's urgency and Big Dunk's ability to basically, like I said, I mentioned it earlier before, it's good that the players will have a healthy fear of Duncan Ferguson, and they will know that they don't want to upset Duncan Ferguson, because they'll have known his history, and they'll have known that he's not going to sit there and he's not going to shake his head, and he's not going to be the nicey, you didn't play well today, we need to be better. If you don't put in a shift, if you don't put in a performance, and you come off and you don't say, listen boss, I'm really sorry about that, I was off my game, he's going to have words, but and you don't want to stand up next to Duncan Ferguson and have words. Callum Smith-Field says, do you want Big Duncan? Well, let's wait and see. DB LXP says, if you win this game, couldn't less at the manager to break dancing on the sideline. Spot on. Cal says full time. Bain says, we don't end up with Emery. Yeah, Emery's a tough one. He struggled at Arsenal. Obviously, he won multiple European Cups under Seville, but he struggled in the Premier League, so it is a difficult one. Holly's Life says, agree with you, Cam. We can't afford to take on another maybe manager. Spot on. Anyway, yeah, let's get into the game. So obviously, we start fantastically, really, really good play. Again, that's come from players battling for every single ball, players not giving up the ball, 4 or 5 Everton players surrounding the Chelsea player that has the ball, win the ball back. Richarlison breaks, he passes fantastically to Jibril Sidibe. Jibril Sidibe puts in another unbelievable cross, about the 4th unbelievable cross he's put in the last 2 games, and a big dunk-esque header by Richarlison. Absolutely fantastic header by, for me, one of the best players, young players in world football. Puts it in with 1-0 up, and all of a sudden it's it's glory days. 1-0 up already, 6 minutes in. Duncan Ferguson's running up and down the touchline. He's loving it. He's getting involved with the ball boys. The fans are up, and again you're starting to feel that Everton way back at Goodison Park. The game progresses. Yes, I think it'd be fair to say that Chelsea probably had a little bit, well, he definitely had a little bit more of the ball. He probably had better of the ball as well. He was creating more opportunities, but our willingness to not give up and our, never die attitude was what got us through a lot of that game, because like I said, Chelsea did have a lot of the ball and Chelsea were creating a lot of opportunities, but the defence was so tight-knit. They were making last-ditch tackles, they were throwing tackles in. Morgan Schneiderlin was all around the pitch, Gylfi Sigurdsson was all around the pitch, and whatever you think about these players, whatever you've thought about Gylfi Sigurdsson's performances this season, which I don't think anybody's been as vocal as me as to say that he has been absolutely shocking this season, very similarly to Morgan Schneiderlin, whatever you thought of those players, you have to sit back and say, you know what, they put in a shift on Saturday. Even Alex Iwobi, who on the ball I thought was quite poor on Saturday, you still have to turn around and go, well, you know what, he put in a really, really good shift. And, every single player putting in that shift together, regardless of whether we were lacking a little bit of quality, regardless of whether we could have been a little bit better on the ball, it got us through that game. And I think, just to name a few, Mason Aldgate I thought was absolutely unbelievable. Jibril Sidibe, again, not just going forward, but defensively, he was winning every ball, he was solid, he was bringing the ball out, and obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who ended up getting the man of the match. For me, said it in my instant match reaction, I really, really don't want to hear any more of the Dominic Calvert-Lewin's a championship striker, or he's not good enough for Everton Football Club. The lad works his absolute bollocks off week in, week out, and he scores goals at the end of the day. He scored another 2 there on Saturday. He's our leading goal scorer this season, so at the end of the day, what more do we want? Realistically, what more do we want? Yeah, he's not a natural striker. Yeah, he's not going to get you 20 to 30 goals a season, but we haven't got a natural striker that's going to give you 20 to 30 goals a season. And as much as I, really, really want Moise Kean to prosper at Everton, as much as I really, really want Moise Kean to do well, at the minute, he mustn't be doing enough insane, and he's not scored a goal for Everton. And I really, really find it difficult how people can make an argument to take Dominic Calvert-Lewin out of this team when he's given us 100% week in, week out. He's working his bollocks off week in, week out, and he's winning us games of football with his goals. I really, really struggle to see how any of that is a negative, to be perfectly honest with you. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was absolutely excellent, and again, we seen him, he was straight over to Big Dunk after he scored that first goal. Him and Tom Davis have got quite a clear relationship with Big Duncan from, the academy and from the various different managers that they've worked under with Big Duncan. And that's one thing I really, really took out of the game was, like I said earlier on, every single time we scored each one of those 3 goals, there was always somebody running over to Duncan Ferguson. And I'm not just talking the ball boys, I'm talking the players, members of the first team were straight over to Ferguson, they were hugging him, they were getting involved with him, and that shows that they believed in Duncan Ferguson and Duncan Ferguson believed in them. And that sort of camaraderie and that sort of passion and that sort of, urgency that is what we want to see as fans, and that was every single one of those Everton players showing heart on Saturday and fighting for this badge. Theo Walcott come out at the end of the game in his post-match interview and said that's the Everton way, and that's exactly what it was, and that's what we want to see week in, week out as Evertonians. When we go to Goodison Park, that's what we expect to see: players fighting, players battling, players getting involved with every ball, not being scared of a tackle, throwing themselves in, putting themselves on the line for this football club. We don't necessarily expect them to be putting 10 out of 10 performances in, week out, and to have a 100% pass completion rate and to have a 100%, shoot completion rate where every time you hit the ball at the goal, it goes in. We don't necessarily expect that, but we expect you to give it 150% every time you put that Everton shirt on, and that's one thing that Duncan Ferguson will demand out of this club, out of these players at this club. Whilst he is in charge of this football club, he will demand 150% of effort from these players, and that got us through that game on Saturday. And if it gets us through the game next, on Sunday against Manchester United, and again against Leicester in the Cup, and then again against Arsenal, then it's really, really difficult to not make a case for Duncan Ferguson to keep this job. I think it's really, really early on now, and I think it'd be tough for us to, again, say as a definite yes, he should have it, you know, whether it be to the end of the season or on a permanent basis, because like I said, it's only been one game, and a lot of teams do have that bounce back effect and that honeymoon period. So I think we just have to wait and see, but I think he definitely deserves to be in charge for the Manchester United game. So obviously we go 1-0 up. We're creating opportunities, we're battling. Yes, Chelsea probably had a little bit more of the ball. Yes, Chelsea probably had the better opportunities, but we go in at half-time, 1-0 up, and you're thinking more of the same, more hard work, more battling, keep it, you know, tight-knit defensively, don't give anything away. And then, you know, we go up the other end, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin puts the ball in the back of the net. A really, really good finish. He takes it down, he slots it, and you're thinking it's 2-0. Can it go any better? Can it realistically go any better? Duncan Ferguson's getting involved with more ball boys. The players are running over to Ferguson. The fans are on their feet. And it really, really feels like our Everton. And it doesn't just feel like our Everton because we're winning. It doesn't just feel like our Everton because the performance was much better. That's what I really, really want to stress about this game is, you know, when Theo Walker comes out and says that's the Everton way, and when we're sitting here as Evertonians saying that's what we know and love about Everton Football Club. It's not just that we're winning. It's not just that the performance was, you know, a lot better than it's been in recent weeks. It's the fact that the manager was getting involved, the players were running over to the manager, the whole day was Everton Football Club through and through. Duncan Ferguson wearing Howard Kendall's watch that was given to him by Howard Kendall's wife, you know, wearing the Everton wristband. It's just Everton through and through, and the result and the performance was just the cherry on top of that cake. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit panicky, I was a little bit pessimistic when they brought Duncan Ferguson out and they had the song at the start and they had the massive cheer, because, you know, the pessimist in me and the Evertonian in me did sit back and go, well, this is going to seem a little bit silly if, you know, we go out and we get absolutely thrashed by Chelsea, but we didn't. And the club obviously have full faith in Duncan Ferguson to go out and motivate that team to get the 3 points, and that's exactly what he did. Anyway, we scored the second, and almost instantly Chelsea come back and they get 1 goal back, and you know, you're sitting there and you're thinking, right, okay, we're still winning. We're still, you know, fighting for the ball. We're still deserving the victory, because at the end of the day, we're fighting for every single challenge, and they're not. They might have a little bit more quality when they're passing the ball. They might have a little bit more quality in possession, but they don't want the ball. They're not fighting for it. We're winning. You know, let's not let this goal affect us. Let's not let this, you know, Chelsea getting back into the game affect us. And it's very, very easy in any football game for an opposition to go 2-0 down, get a goal back, and the momentum switches. All of a sudden, they're piling the pressure on, they're piling the opportunities on, and that's exactly what Chelsea done. They piled the pressure on, and we dealt with it fantastically. Mason Holgate was absolutely unbelievable in this game, and I mean absolutely unbelievable. One of the best performances I've seen Mason Holgate put in an Everton shirt so far. He was throwing tackles in, he was commanding the area, and he looked like a real professional. Mason Holgate looked like the senior in that back line. He really, really did. I thought Michael Keane was poor, don't get me wrong. I thought Michael Keane was poor. Up until the last 15 to 20 minutes, I thought he massively struggled. But Mason Holgate looked like the veteran in that defence. He really, really did. I thought he was unbelievable. Alongside, you know, like I said, Michael Keane, who struggled but come into his own towards the last 15 minutes. Jabril Sidibe, who was unbelievable, and Luka Dino, who had a good game. We were keeping Chelsea out, and we were making sure that Chelsea didn't get through. In the times that they did get through, we were battling the midfield, we're getting to every ball. You know, when Duncan Ferguson put out the team sheet an hour before the game, I think a lot of Evertonians sat back and went, well, we're looking at a midfield there of Morgan Schneider and Gylfi Sigurdsson against a pacey midfield of N'Golo Kante and Kovacic, etc. of Chelsea's. You know, that could really, really hurt us, and that could really, really affect us. But it didn't, because Morgan Schneider and Gylfi Sigurdsson, for what they lacked in pace, for what they lacked in stamina and energy, you know, you could argue they made up for in hard work. And that's all we've been asking those players to do for the remainder of the season. Too many games I've seen Gylfi Sigurdsson walk round and not do enough. And we only have to look at literally last Wednesday, 3 days before the Chelsea game, Gylfi Sigurdsson went 28 minutes in the Merseyside derby without touching the ball. That is not good enough. Fast forward, you've got a new manager, you've got a manager in that instills that never give up attitude, and that you are going to fight for every single opportunity, otherwise you're getting a bollocking. And Gylfi Sigurdsson's everywhere, he's all around the pitch, he's winning the ball back. Still wasn't great technically on the ball, but he was fighting and he was working hard, and that's all we asked for as a fan base. And it ended up, you know, winning the game, and it ended up being a part of why we didn't concede a second goal. And then, like I said, you know, we continue to deal with that pressure for the remainder of the game. In the last 10 minutes, we go up the other end, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin seals the win for the Blues, and you're massively happy, and all of a sudden you're coming out of Goodison Park for the first time in a long time with a massive smile on your face, thinking, that's exactly what we want to see week in, week out. And like I said, whether it's Duncan Ferguson that takes charge for the foreseeable future, or whether we bring somebody else in, an Ancelotti, for argument's sake, an Emery, or, a Pochettino, they need to instill that exact same passion and that exact same never, die attitude. And whether it's a manager that's coming in with all of these different tactics and all of this different experience, I'm not really too fussed on all of that. That's fantastic. But if they haven't got that, you go in for every challenge and you fight for every ball and you cover every blade of grass and you fight for this badge, then I don't want them, regardless of how much tactical nous they've got, because that's exactly what Everton needed on Saturday, and that's exactly what Everton need going forward. And that's what Big Dunk will give you. He mightn't be able to give you the massive tactical decisions that we may need in some weeks, but he'll be able to give you that fight and passion. And I honestly believe that, somebody brought up the point about being away from home a little bit earlier on, and we'll see how that works on Sunday against Manchester United, if Duncan Ferguson still is in charge, of course. But I honestly think at home we will beat 95% of Premier League teams at Goodison Park with Duncan Ferguson in charge, playing like that. I really, really do. Anyway, if you're enjoying the stream, please do hit that like button. It means a massive amount to me. Get the stream shared as well all over your social medias. Let's get as many people in here as possible. If you're watching and you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. The support on the videos recently has been absolutely unbelievable, so big thanks for that. We've got loads of content coming in the future, and we've got loads of big plans as well. Where are we in the live comments? Craig90 says, being caretaker is easy to get a few results. Being a pair manager, then suddenly pressure and things can turn very quick, and that's why I think we shouldn't rush to a decision. Wayne says, if Ferguson can get results from this shower of squad with no quality centre midfielders or centre defenders, he'll be achieving more than any of them world-class managers being linked. Fair point. Lavin says he probably puts barbed wire in the dressing room seat. Wouldn't surprise me, mate. Mr. Tyler says 4-4-2. Exactly. Back to basics. 4-4-2. Two strikers. And look at what worked. Marco Silva was, whenever he was, and this isn't a dig at Marco Silva, and I'm not going to sit here and massively dig at Marco Silva, because I think, that's in the past now and we don't need to go back to that. But Marco Silva, every time he was asked about playing two strikers, every time he was asked about the potential of playing 4-4-2, he always said, well, previous games and previous performances show that we perform better with one striker, and we actually score more goals with one striker. Well, Duncan Ferguson played two strikers on Saturday, and we scored 3 goals against a team that are comfortably sitting in the top 4 and probably will comfortably finish in the top 4 as well, despite the fact that they're on a little bit of a poor run. Hernandez says, it's amazing how after one match everyone is in love with Big Dunk, although a lot of the same fans were yelling at him to get out the club when the strikers are hitting their mark. Love his passion. Fair point. Mike says, it'd be great for Dunk to get into the end of the season, but stick with Brandon's his choice, Eric Ten Hag. That's if he'd come to Everton. We don't know he'd come to Everton yet. Eugene says, who would you buy in January window if you were the Everton manager? Who do you think who will win the Euros? I'm not too sure who will win the Euros. Probably Germany or France, like you said. Who I'd buy in January? If I was the Everton manager, I'd really love Jack Grealish from Villa. I'd love Jordy Tielemans, but he's gone to Leicester and he's not going to leave Leicester now. Kurt Zouma I'd still quite like back at Everton Football Club. There's a load of players that I'd really like. David Neres I'd still like at Everton Football Club as well. David says, Saturday was the best Everton moment in a long time. Was nearly in tears several times Saturday. Me too, mate, me too. I did shed a tear, to be honest with you. I went straight into town after the game to have a little bit of a piss up, let's say, with with my dad and a couple of the lads we go to the match with. And I'm not going to lie, on the bus looking at some of the pictures and looking at the interview with Duncan Ferguson, you could see almost the tears in his eye. I did shed a tear on the bus. Mike says, I really like Iwobi, but the last few games he's been poor, but he's the only player who tries all the time and tries to play a forward pass. Yeah, Iwobi technically was poor on Saturday, but again, like you've said there, he gave it 110% and he battled for every ball and he worked hard, and we can accept that sometimes he'll have a poor game. Likewise with other players, but as long as they're battling, as long as they're giving, they're leaving every single ounce of sweat and energy that they've got on that pitch come the end of the game, then it's tough to complain about that. Wayne says, what about Moyes with Ferguson as number 2 for 2 years with the view he takes over after learning his trade? I don't know whether I'd take Moyes back, to be honest with you. In fact, I wouldn't take Moyes back. Lavin says, a choice of backroom staff will be interesting if he gets the job permanently. It will. Probably just say, fuck the backroom staff, I'm doing it on my own. Jem says, spot on, Cam Schneiderlin and Sigurdsson with Boss did play really well. Wayne says, Eugene, Jared Bowen. Hernandez says, oh, ball as well, Cam. I'm doing too bad myself. I'm not doing too bad myself, mate. Thank you very much. All the best, mate. Thank you very much. How would you rate Keane's performance? He was shite in the first half, but put in a shift in the second half. I think you've rated it spot on, to be honest with you, mate. I think not just the second half. I think Michael Keane struggled for a lot of the game. I'd say he had a good last 20 minutes possibly being nice, but I think for the remainder of the 70 minutes he struggled. He was always getting under the ball. He didn't really know where to position himself. He was either too far forward or too far back, but I think he grew in confidence when he started to realise that Mason Holgate was growing in confidence and he was having a good game, and he started to figure it out in the last 15 to 20 minutes, I think. GGDRLYYI says, hello mate, you'll be doing well. David says, Fergie Muggers sends pigeons to shit on Anfield and is a fan of a legend. Klopp has a great dentist and a cabinet full of Viagra. Jem says the 4-4-2 made the players in contact with each other 100%. Spot on. Eugene says on Saturday it was back to the dogs of war with Everton again. It was spot on, and that's exactly what we like to see. I'm going to have lost it. There's loads of comments here that I've ended up losing. Bear with me 2 seconds. Jem says you could see them talking and barking out orders at each other. We haven't seen that in ages. Exactly. Mike says I was one who said DCL's not good enough for Everton, but after that shift he looks like an Everton forward if he plays like that. Agreed. Wade says DCL can only get better, so back him now until Machete delivers that marquee strike. Still waiting. Spot on. Really good point. Bain says Dom and Rich up the top is the way to go in my opinion. It certainly is. Why change it? Wouldn't change it. It worked so well on Saturday. David says DCL can't play on his own. Fair enough, but hopefully he doesn't have to play. Gamer Girl says Liverpool. Not sure what that means. David says, yeah, that's the City gamer. Dave says, my heart says give it to Big Dunk at the end of the season. Head says keep him in charge, but seriously look for the next manager. I think that's, 95% of us are thinking the same thing. Lavit says the 84-85 team is pure class, but they are the nasty side, e.g. buying second leg just a point. Spot on. Jem says Everton. Game Girl says you're getting overexcited off one game. What happened at Anfield? I don't think we are getting overexcited after one game. I think we're getting overexcited after a performance showing Everton players putting in some heart and putting in some fight and putting in some passion, and it's massively important that we don't get too over the top about the game. Jem says Lavvid, yes, it's what we need in the league, an edge or just fall by the wayside. Wayne says feel excited for the weekends again, looking forward to the match press conference for the change. Me too, mate. Jem says oh stop that, what are you doing on here then? Mr. Tideless says from day one I was right about Silver. I was the happiest blue on the planet when he was shown the door. Fair point. David says, don't Liverpool pay rent on their badge to Machete? They do. Jem says, different animal under a new manager. DF, Big Dunk, remember the name. Mike says, Pickford needs to step his game up. He's been rubbish this season. I think he was a lot better on Saturday, but I would agree he hasn't been good enough. David says, free Zuma. Jem says, again on Pickford. Mike Bentham, he near left Keane out on the limb, but we're lucky. I'm not going to read your comments, Gamer Girl, because it's and Everton aren't racist, and for that comment you're getting timed out. See you later, love. See you in a bit. Go and play some COD or FIFA, because you're not getting involved anymore in this. Anyway, enough of that. David says Keane was excellent second half. He did improve. Jem says I thought Keane was okay, but for Pickford not instructing him when Keane's back was the other way around. That's Pickford's fault. Fair point. Wayne says Holgate needs to watch the game back and get more consistent. Keane needs to be more solid if he ever wants to achieve or be fourth choice. Jem says he has. Keane was better player Saturday. 2, not half. Mr. Anders 4-4-2. David says how. Alex says I'm sorry Cam. No worries. There's just no need for what was said. So just obviously keep that out of it. Lavin says 4-4-2, but where was Walcott playing if it was DCL and Richarlison up front on the right? I would assume. Carl says our Everton racists give it a head wobble. Yeah, we're really not. Well, we're not racist, are we? We're not. I suppose every team has a specific group of individuals, small group of individuals that will always go over the top and be inappropriate. And but I don't think Everton aren't racist. Crip says what a key parading around on YouTube with the tag Gamer Girl as a man. Lol. Mikey says, I would rather us... Oh, I've lost that. I would rather us take however many weeks to appoint a top manager proven instead of us rushing to appoint another bang average one. Me too. James is Marco overcomplicated everything inside to Mike manage the whole game. You can see from the 4 pages of instructions to every sub coming on. Fair point. David says they were cartoons orange. Jamie Wayne says at least Ferguson gave us some breathing space. Think Knowledge and Watford are going down now. Spot on. Tom says, do you think Zuma still have a soft spot for Everton? I think he probably does. Lavin says I wonder if he would knew his playing contact. Jamie says not wrong there, Dave. David says no argument there, Gamer Girl. Most sensible comment you've made. I've timed it out so I can't see. Sonny says Moy keen to start versus United. I wouldn't change the front line, to be honest with you. David agrees, and somebody says Rich and DCL start and spot on. Mackham Hunk says Dunk perfect manager for Everton in the middle of a road, manager for the middle of a road club. Not too sure what that means. Tom says let Dunk ease the manager in. Let's see what happens and what is more important. Spot on. And Mike says, Moyes won't start against Man U. He will stay with Richie Deesale. And so he should as well. And so he should. And like I said, it comes to the end of the game and Duncan Ferguson's on the pitch. Obviously, he's giving it all of that to the fans as he was throughout the game, and the players all seem absolutely made up with each other. Leighton Baines as well. I want to talk about Leighton Baines. Absolutely fantastic to see Leighton Baines come on and get a well-deserved round of applause, and obviously a few minutes as well on the pitch. And it was all unbelievable to see, and that was what I took from Saturday. It was very nice, and it was very heartwarming, and it was Everton. It was what we know as Everton Football Club, and like I put at the title of this live team, whoever comes in as the next manager must retain this passion and this energy going forward, and must start off with the basics with this team, and then start to learn what the team can do and how far they can go, but start off with the basics like Duncan Ferguson has 4-4-2 going forward, and we go from there. And that's exactly what Duncan Ferguson done. And that's exactly what whoever comes in needs to do. Obviously, Unai Emery's been rumoured today. It's a strange one. Like I said, he did fail at Arsenal, and obviously he's got the sack from there very recently. Really, really good for Seville, winning them multiple European trophies over a short period of time. But it is difficult, especially when you think about the Arsenal stuff. Personally, I wouldn't take him, especially not if Duncan Ferguson carries on with the form, obviously, from the Chelsea game. I'll be looking at a more experienced manager. I'll be looking at a better manager. But it's definitely interesting, and I think it's important to understand that even though Everton have approached Unai Emery, even though it's trending on Twitter, even though Sky Bet might throw in that he's favourite or whatever, I think it's important to understand that we'll probably it's like Christmas, innit? It's like an advent calendar. We're probably going to log onto Twitter and see a new manager rumoured to be interested in the Everton job every single day. So I wouldn't worry too much about Unai Emery. I just think about who's the manager that's going to be rumoured with Everton tomorrow, because I dare say it'll be somebody different. But yeah, big Dunks Blues get the 3 points at Goodison Park. An absolutely fantastic victory for Everton. And like I said at the start of the team, even though it's really, really tough to take away the fight and to take away the passion, to take away the agency, to take away the running up and down the sideline and hugging the ball boys and the players getting involved with them and the players hugging them, trying to, put that all to one side, which is absolutely fantastic. The most important thing on Saturday was that we went out and we got the 3 points, and we climbed ourselves out of this relegation zone and out of, one step out of this rut that we've been in for quite some time now, and that's exactly what we've done, and hopefully we can do that going forward. Massive game on Sunday for Duncan Ferguson. If he is still in charge, I would assume he will be, because I would assume the board will now take a little bit more time in making that decision of who comes in on a permanent. And yeah, big opportunity for Duncan Ferguson to prove that he can go out and he can motivate the players, not only away from home, but at a ground like Old Trafford, which is, is notoriously a tough ground to go to and get anything against. And I really, really do think if we can go out there and we can get a result against Manchester United, then, we're looking at, I think we can sit back and maybe take a little bit more time in appointing the permanent manager, and I'd rather us do that than rush in and bring in somebody else that, is not fit for the club and realistically is not good enough to take us forward, because we've made that mistake multiple times over the last previous years. But anyway, yeah, how good was it to see Duncan Ferguson not only managing Everton, but managing Everton to a really important victory? How fantastic was it to see him hugging ball boys, and how fantastic was it to see the camaraderie and the togetherness of that squad on Saturday? If you loved it all, give us a like on the live team. I really, really appreciate that. That's going to do it for today. Like I said, if you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe as well. It only takes a second. Don't forget to go and follow us over on our Twitter at MightyBluesYT as well for all of the latest Everton news and information. I'll be live on Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. We're going to do a breakdown of the managerial situation. We're going to talk about a lot of the candidates that have been mentioned. I'd love to sit here and say all of the candidates, but there's been various amounts of candidates that have been mentioned, and a lot of them, well, some of them definitely, I think I've got absolutely no chance. You've got Gallardo is being mentioned, of course, Pereira who's constantly mentioned, so there's a lot of managers that are in the hat, and a lot of managers that seemingly are rumoured to be interested in the job. So we'll talk about all of them on Wednesday, a big manager special on Wednesday, and we'll also talk about Duncan Ferguson as well, because I think it's only fair that we do that. I didn't really want to go into the manager rabbit hole today, because I think it's fair that Duncan Ferguson gets his moment and we talk about it as a game that, he set out the team to play, and the team went out and the team put in a really, really good performance. It's not really about any other manager. It wasn't about any other manager on Saturday. It was about those lads putting 110% in for the shirt, and Duncan Ferguson showing that fight and passion. We'll talk about the manager on Wednesday, so don't forget to join us at 6 PM for that one. And then, of course, all of the usual content towards the end of the week. The pre-game press conference reaction, Duncan Ferguson's pre-game press conference reaction. First one we've done on the channel. And then, of course, the game preview going into the United game on Saturday. That game preview will be on Thursday, with the press conference reaction being on Friday. Big thanks to everybody for watching. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed. Let's see if we can get to 30 likes before the end of the stream. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. 1878 ST says, listen lads, DCL is still effing shite. I disagree, to be honest with you, mate. Skowskit says, good evening. Wayne says, Baines needed to get some game time. Dean can't play at his peak every week. Fair point, really fair point. And I don't know whether it was just me that thought Leighton Baines slotted in and never looked like he'd been out the squad, to be perfectly honest with you, and that shows just how good of a professional he is. David says, still better than Newcastle Mac. And Wayne says, centre midfielder that can score a goal and prove centre back a must in January. Fair point. David says, has Ken Wright got a Christmas special coming out? Managerial, guess who? Maybe. Wayne says, thanks mate, always appreciated as always. Thank you very much, Wayne, do appreciate that. Sonny says, has Marco Silva been in charge on Saturday? Would we have got the same result? I don't think so, to be honest with you, mate. See you later, Cam. See you later, mate. Wayne says, Everton banter with the Mighty Blues after an Everton win, can't beat it on a Monday. Spot on, you can't, mate. And Wayne and David agrees with that one. 1878 said, one game doesn't change him. I don't think he's had one game, to be honest with you. He scored multiple times this season. I think he's our league and goal scorer. But that's fair enough, that's your opinion. And you know what? I think DCL is, I disagree, I think DCL is a fantastic striker, or a really good young player coming through, but I still think we need the 20 to 30 goal a season striker. But that's your opinion and that's fair enough. If you're watching on YouTube, do leave your comments in the comment section down below and I'll try and get involved with as many of them as possible. Big thanks to Edward for getting involved in the live comments as per usual. I really do appreciate it. Clip says, hi Cam, I don't think Everton can play that way every game, especially away from home. I think it's more important to hire a manager that comes in with a solid system and gets our players. I think it's a really good fair point, and that's definitely something that we'll talk about on Wednesday's live stream. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how we play on Sunday against Man United away. And Lavit says, manager says it'll be like the film Highlander, there can only be one. They can. Anyway, big thanks for watching. Please hit that like button if you have enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. I'll be back on Wednesday at 6 PM to talk everything managerial situation. So don't forget to join us for that. Share the stream as well. Get as many people involved as you can. Really do appreciate all of the support. 1878 SD says, your opinion is fine with me. Thank you very much. And so is yours with me, because that's what football is about. It's about opinions, and it's about, you know, having that conversation and understanding everyone's opinion. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you have enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.